I feel like shit.
Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days.
It's just one of those
happy days. The weekend comes, let's not go home.
It's just one of those days where you don't wanna wake up. Everything is everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you wanna justify ripping someone's head off. No human contact, and if you interact, your life is on contract. Your best bet,
Just knock it off, you scum bucket.
it's just one of those days. It's just one of those.
Happy days.
It's just one of those.
Happy days.
It's just one of those
Happy
days.
The weekend comes, let's not go home. Ready to make stays.
It's just one of those days, feeling like a freight train. First one to complain, leaves with the bloodstain. Damn right, I'm a maniac. You better you, cause I'm fucking up your program. And if you're stuck up, you just locked up. Next in line to get fucked up. Your best bet is to stay away, motherfucker. It's just,
I'm losing my cool.
it's all about it.
Happy days.
It's just one of those,
Happy days.
it's just one of those days.
The weekend comes, let's not go home. Ready to make stays.
Feel like shit. My suggestion is to keep your distance. 'Cause right now I'm dangerous. Right now I'm dangerous.
Something's happening to the bonds.
And if my day keeps going this way, I just might. I'm gonna pop you one so you'll stop playing games. Give me something great. Give me something great. I hope you know I pack a chainsaw. A chainsaw. A motherfucking chainsaw.
What?
So come and get it.
What we got here is a case of mistaken identity, you know? See, now this here,
Not Robert.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chief Moody, and welcome to episode 229 of the Mood of the Nation podcast. How's everyone doing this fine Monday evening? Well, technically afternoon, but we're getting to the evening part anyway. But as you can clearly see, it's an absolute scorcher out there today. Well, it has been for the last week or so, but we've been getting really, really good weather up here in Scotland. So looks like spring has arrived, and I think we're only just around the corner when it comes. Well, not around the corner, but we're getting close to summer. I definitely do feel that way, considering the fact that in the afternoons it's been surprisingly warm. It's not like overwhelmingly warm, but it's getting to the point where it's like close to being pretty. Let's just say like I would. Up until this point, I would always wear a t-shirt, which is what I'm wearing right now, a jumper, and a jacket underneath because of how cold it is in the morning. And even in the afternoons, up until this point, it's still pretty breezy to the point I would still need to wear a jacket overall. But there have been a couple of times where I had to take my jacket off because of how warm it is. So yeah, we're definitely getting there, being the weather getting a lot better at this point in time. So let me just have a quick look and see who is in the chat just now. We've got Chaz Smash, Toffee is with us, Tight Scotsman, James Hayworth, and Budgie Burger. Thank you all very much for coming along and watching the show. There's 7 people watching, which is really good to see. Hopefully more people will come along. And thank you, of course, to Joe Marsh, Mark Collett, and everyone else who has shared the stream. Greatly appreciate it. You've had your ears lowered. Yeah, I think some people can tell. Yes, I finally had a haircut and a beard trim. Not this past weekend, but the weekend prior to that. And I know there wasn't an episode last week, but the reason for that being is because I just couldn't be bothered. And I thought, you know what, maybe I can try and actually come back. Well, actually, it wasn't a case I couldn't be bothered. It was more of a case of other stuff was just were in the way. And I thought I'll just focus on that, and then I'll come back for the following week, which of course here we are now. And because of the weather being relatively good, again, not like overwhelmingly hot or anything like that, but it's still good weather nonetheless. If you guys wouldn't mind, I decided to have an alcoholic beverage. It's Kopparberg. I'm sure you've all seen that before, which is the strawberry and lime flavor. It's my go-to alcoholic drink with that. I'll have a beer here and there, but this is my go-to drink with that. And also, just to make you all aware, this is the first drink of the evening and probably my final one of the evening. Even though I'm off work tomorrow, I think I might be back in on Wednesday, but they'll tell me later on tomorrow and see from there. Like probably I'll find out tomorrow afternoon and see from there. So, but yes, to celebrate the fact that I'm off tomorrow and it's still really good weather, I thought I'll just have like an alcoholic beverage, even though I don't really drink as much. And even then, I'll just have the one, and that's about it. So, anyways, let's see what's been said in the chat. So let's start with Toffee. First stream I've got for a few weeks. YouTube is a nuisance. I tell me about it, my man. It doesn't give me notifications for some channels. I know. I think it just really depends on the channel. But at this point in time, I mean, I don't think anyone really should be that surprised, really, when it comes to YouTube. But it is what it is when it comes to that. It is what it is. Tight Scotsman, all right, lads. James Hayworth present. Toffee again. Global warming. The planet is going to perish in a ball of fire. We'll see about that. So we shall see. But man up, Chief. Drink a crate and fall asleep on the bathroom floor. Well, we'll see with that. To be fair, I do have I think another bottle or two in the fridge anyway. So if I do want to have another one, then it's there available, of course, when I'm ready for it. So there we go. Also, cheers. Nice. Oh, and also, if you can hear some snoring in the background, that's because my dog Otis is literally sitting right behind me. Never mind the fact there's literally space right here next to the couch where he could easily sleep on or even sit on for that matter. But instead of that, he decided to be an awkward dog and decided to just sleep literally right behind me. If I can get the camera here. So there's me, the bottom bit. You can see there he is. He's just laying there. Yeah, I see you. I mean, there's plenty of space at that side of the couch, but hey ho, what can you do? So yes, Otis is here with me. I'm looking after him until this evening. So there we go. Anyways, so we do have a couple things to talk about in terms of topics, and we'll then get into the Q&A section at hand. Well, I'll probably do the stream for about maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half, but we'll see. It just really depends because like I said, I'm kind of busy with other things at the moment, but we'll still do the stream anyway with that. So let's get right into it, shall we? And I think more people will come along, but we'll see because now there's about 11 people watching, which is really good to see. So thank you all again very much for coming along and watching the stream. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up Telegram. That's where I have my notes. What's it? Maybe later. Don't want to restart ChatGPT at the moment. Hell, I'm not even like using it at the moment on this thing. But anyways, all right. So just bear with me just now. I'm just gonna open up Telegram and just, of course, get my notes. And one of the notes, by the way, is a link to a website that we're going to be talking about today, or at least it has a topic we're going to be covering today. Now, I know this is somewhat old news because this happened last week. So if I was around and doing the show, I could have easily talked about it last week, but it's still pretty prevalent to what's going on at the moment. And we're going to talk about that right now. And I might go back into talking about the show Adolescence because there has been some couple things of like development wise in terms of what's been talked about that particular show. If you remember, Adolescence is this new hit show apparently on Netflix that's basically nothing more than just complete anti-white propaganda. It talks about how, well, it's basically a show where a white boy stabs a white girl and all of that, which, I mean, look, if you look at statistics and all of that, especially if you've been to places where there's rampant knife crime going around, you'll actually notice that the perpetrators of these knife crimes happen to be non-white, more specifically black youths. But of course, you can't really say that. That would be deemed as racist, apparently. But oh well. So where have I put it? I think I placed it in saved messages. Yeah, hold on. And there's a link there from the news site, The Spectre. Now, I believe Mark, that being Mark Collett, had an image of this on his recent video about this particular topic. So I already just kind of gave it away what I'm going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the disqualification of Marine Le Pen, who's been banned from, I believe she has been either banned or disqualified for stepping up for the 2027 French presidential election, I think it's called. That the French elections essentially for 2027. And if you think that's really bad in terms of democracy and all of that, well, I think that particular story further cements that democracy is complete utter bullshit. And then this isn't the only person this happened to, by the way. This has happened to, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but as a Romanian politician, if I remember correctly. A similar thing happened to him where he got disqualified, is not allowed to step forward in the Romanian elections and all of that. So I can't remember the guy's name for the life of me, but look, 1 second, just remove that because I don't really need that anymore. So I got the page up here just now, so we might as well just talk about it. So now, before we go any further, I understand the fact that Marine Le Pen is quite a divisive character when it comes to politics, or at least in our sphere, because she is someone who has thrown her father under the bus because of his, quote unquote, more, people would say more extreme right-wing views or anything like that. But I mean, they're not exactly extreme. They're just more like questioning sort of things. But the fact of the matter is, she still threw her dad under the bus, just to appease a certain group of people within politics. Well, as we can all see, for this whole debacle, if you want to call it that, you can clearly see that you could try all you want to try and appease these people, but they'll still find a way to come back to stab you in the fucking back. So let me have a look and see if we can share the screen again and with this article here again from the Spectre. The hypocrisy behind Le Pen's disqualification by James Tidmarsh. This was about, this article came out a week ago. So let's see if it's opening up the full article. Let me see if I can get this up here. And if I can read the full, I'm just going to read the full thing because it's pretty much up there anyway. So, right, let's have a look at this just now. So every single political group, every single national delegation has violated the same rule that Ms. Le Pen did: the employment of staff to work on non-EP related affairs. Oh yeah, so just for context, so basically the quote-unquote reason as to why Le Pen has been disqualified for stepping or participate in the 2027 French elections is because she's been caught for embezzlement, quote-unquote, where again, when it comes to that, I'm sure it might even come up in this article as well, but I think it's rather rich coming from, again, the mainstream and all of that, talking about, oh, she's a very corrupt politician and all of that. Well, as we can all remember, almost every single politician is corrupt at this point in time. So, but again, I'm sure that the article itself will mention that as we read along. So, as it reads, that was the reaction of Conor Allen, a former parliamentary assistant in the European Parliament, following Marine Le Pen's disqualification from the French presidential race. Allen is no French partisan. He's worked for multiple MEPs across the aisle and was recently named in Politico's Power 40 Brussels class of 2023. His comment lifts the lid on something Brussels insiders have always known: that the rule of Le Pen has been convicted under isn't just bureaucratic, it's universally ignored. Let's be clear, this isn't a corruption scandal in the traditional sense. Le Pen hasn't been accused of enriching herself. The court found that some 474,000 euros, which is around, as it says, at £400,000 in EU funds paid to parliamentary assistants, had been used for party-related activity in France. Not a penny was taken for personal use. The funds were used by the party, as they are apparently routinely by many other political groups in the European Parliament. And yet Le Pen has been found guilty of Yeah, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the French word here, but I think that there's a translation here: misappropriation of public funds and declared ineligible to run for office. Which, yeah, I mean, that's just, I mean, if you're going to honestly pin this on Le Pen, you might as well pin this on almost every single political politician you can think of, because everyone is guilty of it. Oh, well, at least almost everyone is guilty of it. But that's the thing, right? That is the thing here. If you're somebody who toes the party line, who doesn't, what's the old saying, or doesn't, rock the boat, as it were, and you're not presenting quote unquote controversial opinions or anything like that at all, then you're fine, essentially. But if you toe out with the party line in any way, shape, or form, then yeah, you'll get fucked, essentially. You'll definitely will get screwed by the end of that. And this is a prime example of this. The rule has been convicted under. The rule she has been convicted under is not just obscure; it is deliberately institutionally hypocritical. Assistants in the European Parliament are formally considered employees of the institution, not of the MEP they serve. They are, in theory, barred from working on national party matters, campaigns, or press work not directly tied to the Parliament, but in practice, this restriction appears to be a joke. Everyone does it. Parliamentary assistants across political groups help with national party communications, media briefings, campaign coordination, and speech writing. It's how politics functions in Brussels. What makes Le Pen's conviction so irrigorous is not that the rule was broken, it's that it only seems to be enforced when politically useful. No one seriously believes that MEPs are running pristine operations in which their assistants never left a finger for the party. If this rule were applied rigorously and evenly, presumably half the parliament would be on trial. But only one candidate, the leading contender in the French presidential race, has been dragged into court, convicted, and barred from standing. The Anglo-American model couldn't be more different in Britain or the United States. It is perfectly normal, even expected, for political aides to assist their elected official with political work. That includes speech writing, party liaison communications, I think I'm pronouncing that right, strategy, and re-election planning. As long as public funds aren't used for personal gain, no one blinks. Or sorry, let me start again. As long as public funds aren't used for personal gain, no one blinks. The idea that employing an aide to help with political messaging could constitute a criminal offense would be laughable. In Brussels, it's now grounds for political annihilation, provided you're the right target. Yeah, see, that's the thing. What this really comes off as, because I did kind of follow the story when it was going on last week. And from what I can tell, and again, that might not be an original point to me, but this really just screams, oh shit, Le Pen is actually doing well in the polls with the French presidential race. You know, we need to find a way to try and, you know, stop her for actually participating in that race without actually looking like the most corrupt fucking arseholes imaginable. So then they try to find this complete the whole embezzlement thing and thought, right, we could try and catch her with that. This whole thing just screams like as a way of trying to make an example out of her type of thing. But yeah, I mean, the article here is right. I mean, if they're going to target on one person, they might as well do that with almost every single politician you can think of, because almost everyone does it. And the fact that Le Pen is being convicted for this and is barred from actually participating in that French race really goes to show that not only democracy is complete bullshit, but it really goes to show just how much the establishment really doesn't want figures like Le Pen to win these elections. Now, again, I'm not a fan or not much of a fan of Le Pen myself, and I can understand why people would have their grievances over Le Pen, especially what she did to her father. But again, it really goes to show that the French establishment, or even say the global establishment, really do not want Le Pen to win. They really do not want her to be the French presidential elected, or at least become the next French president. You know, that sort of idea. So yeah, I mean, this is just like really dirty tactics on their part. But yeah, we'll just continue on from there. So Le Pen's real offense isn't legal, it's political. She is being punished not because she did something no one else has done, but because she's currently in lead in the polls to win the French presidential election. This is lawfare. The deployment of selective rules and administrative norms to achieve what opponents cannot at the ballot box. Democracy in France and in Europe should be deeply alarmed. Yeah, definitely, because look, again, if you're somebody who, there was a point I was going to bring up there, but I'll get to that in a second here. But yeah, I think people who do care about democracy really should be frightened by this because that's the thing. It's not going to stop with Le Pen. That pretty much opens Pandora's box. It opens the doors to anybody at that point. If there's ever a point where if you step out of line politically, then they'll do the same thing what they did to Le Pen. Exactly that. It's absolutely just dirty tactics what they did to her. And again, I can understand people have their criticisms of Le Pen, but it still really goes to show just how shady like politics can really be. Like politics is a very dirty business at this point. Well, it always has been a dirty business, but you get my point. Democracy in France and in Europe should be deeply alarmed. When vague institutional codes are weaponized to remove leading candidates from the race, the legitimacy crisis doesn't belong to the candidate, it belongs to the system. And that's pretty much it with the article. I don't know if there's actually a comments section. No, there isn't. All right, well, that's that then. So now, William Wallace 2, I know who you are. Thank you very much for watching Moon of the Nation. I hope you're doing well. Run Red Rocket to the Moon, thank you very much for watching as well. So, Martin W, we have Nigel Farage to destroy parties over here. Well, I mean, yeah, that is entirely true, but I think at this point, even without Nigel Farage, I think the Reform UK party are already kind of doing that themselves with Rupert Lowe, even without the help of Nigel Farage, which, I mean, yeah, it's pretty bad when it comes to that. Now, there is one last part I want to mention before we move on to something else with regards to what happened to Le Pen. And I think this might be something that might annoy some folk when it comes to voting and whether or not if it actually is the solution to the problems we face just now. I mean, look, I've said recently at this point that voting is completely out the window at this point. I think voting is really there's just no point into it anymore because there's so many factors, as was mentioned in both my stream and I think Mark did an excellent job of presenting the problems we face when it comes to political elections here in Britain. So and I think what happened to Le Pen, I mean, that's just another case example of this is why voting is not going to get us out of this mess. Because if they can do that to Le Pen, and I know that's only in France, what makes you think they're not going to happen? They're not going to do that with any other group or party here in the UK? Because I mean that just opens the door. Like, well, okay, this happened over here and it seemed to have worked. Let's try over here. So I mean, again, I might annoy some people saying that, but it's not to be blackpilling or anything like that at all. It's just a statement of fact at this point that voting is really just out the window currently, and the only way to maybe to sort the mess we're going through just now is, as I mentioned before, is white advocacy. I think that's really the next step forward with that, and voting. It's really a no-go at this point, especially what happened with Le Pen. I mean, you can even see what happened to Rupert Lowe and with Reform UK, that even people within the parties themselves are willing to just stab each other in the back. I mean, at this point, like, it's not going to go anywhere with that. So it's a shame, but the only way forward at this point in time would be white advocacy, in my opinion. So that seemed to be the way forward. Now then, let's move on. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to take a quick sip of my beverage. One sec. So then, we're going to move on to the next topic, being the adolescence show. Now, I know I already technically covered this on the last episode, which was about like 2 weeks ago. Now I think about it. But there have been a couple of things that did came out of it, which I thought were pretty interesting. So, if memory serves me, I believe I did save these articles. Well, I don't think they're like articles. They're like, one is a tweet, and the other is, I believe it is a news article that's more like kind of like a critique of the show itself. But let me just see if I can find them on X, because I remember bookmarking something relating to that. So I wonder if I can maybe find them there. Let's see. Oh, and yeah, by the way, you can also follow me on on X. In fact, that's something that I almost forgot to do. Let's see if I can get this up here. There's all the platforms I'm on just now. So if you want to give me a follow on other platforms like X, you can definitely do so if you have an X account, that is. Also, you can easily find me on X, considering I've updated my avatar, being the Ghibli style avatar I have at the moment. But I'll just post my link to my page there, if you haven't followed me already, and also if you have an X account, of course. Right, let's see here. Bookmarks. Right, so it's not that, but it's something entirely different. I got it up here, so that's that one. Right, okay, so right, I found that one, so that's good. I want to see if I can find that article with adolescents. So let's see here. God damn it. That's CE show. And I wonder if I can find that article on this search bar. Right, it's not that one. It's not even that one either. Not CNN. Where was it? If I can't find it here, did I maybe saved it on Telegram? Wait a minute. Because I remember remember seeing it somewhere, but where was it? Hold on. That was notes for the last episode. Damn it. Crap. All right. Maybe if I can actually type it in critique. 1 second here. Maybe with that, I don't know, but 1 sec. Critique. And I wonder if it's maybe with some article that they pulled up. What, bro? What is it? There's no one there. How this flawless. God damn it. I knew I should have actually saved that article. Damn it. So the article that I'm trying to look for, it was something to do with, well, the show itself has heart, but it was something like, it has heart, but it's kind of like, it's not entirely accurate, or it's something to that effect. But damn it. Posing audiences with his dramatic critique of teenage masculinity. Let me see here. Unmasking toxic algorithm. Let's see. Bear. No. That's gonna really annoy me now. Damn it. Let me see if I can actually find it on Telegram, because the article. Because I remember seeing it on Telegram, maybe on X, but it was mainly Telegram. I remember seeing the article in particular. If I can't find it, then I'll move on to, again, the same topic, but if there was a video that caught my attention, I was like, whoa, hold on a minute. You know, people are praising the show as like, oh, this is like a masterpiece and blah, blah, blah. But this scene is in the show. How come no one is actually talking about it? Which, I mean, that's, yeah, it's really would make you think. And I'll bring that up in a second or two. And I don't think I can actually, god damn it. No, I can't seem to find it. Well, anyways, that's not to worry about that whatsoever, because I have here the video that's on X, so we could actually play that here just now. So let me see if I can actually share the screen. Let's see from here. So the tweet itself is from the Family Education Trust, and it reads, "A huge red flag is the way no one is discussing how this show sexualizes children. In this scene, the psychologist asks Jamie, what's the normal amount someone your age would be sexually with a girl or boy?" Which, I mean, that's, yeah, seems pretty. I know people would defend this by saying, oh, well, it's like psychology 101. It's like, but look, it's still fucking weird to ask questions like that to children and all of that. But am I actually sharing it? Right. Okay. So yeah. Now keep this in mind. By the way, this show is meant to be a big hit. A lot of people are talking about it, including people at my workplace that are also talking about it. But this scene is also in the show, and yet no one seems to be talking about this scene in particular, which is really interesting. But let's have a quick look at this scene right here. We're just going to play the whole scene in its entirety. If something does pop up in my like maybe something to talk about, then I will pause it. But until then, we're just going to play through the video in its entirety, as it's only just under 4 minutes long. So let's have a look here. So 3, 2, 1. All right, sorry. I'm gonna pause it there because right. Again, I know there's gonna be people that will defend this, like, oh, well, this is part of like psychology and all this and that. Look, I'm sorry, I don't buy that for a minute. That's still just really fucking bizarre. All right, it's just really strange, right? Am I the only one that thinks that this is really bizarre? Am I the only one that thinks this? I highly doubt it. Oh, as in, fuck me, man. There's no sound. For fuck's sake. I thought I was actually sure. Right, 1 second here. Yeah, I've seen the chat. Let me see if I can actually. I thought I was actually sharing the audio. Right. Also share system audio, which I thought is what I've done anyway, but okay, share that. Uh all right, there we go. So hopefully that should be sorted there. So I guess we'll just play the whole thing in its fucking entirety once again. So I'll just right. So I'll let you listen to what I heard just now, and I think I was about maybe halfway through it. So we'll just play the whole video in its entirety. So again, 3, 2, 1.
I can't know, Jamie. My conclusions have to be independent.
Let me know if you can actually hear that.
What do you think about women? I like them, but you're not, like you say, particularly friends with them. Not a twat, though. Are you attracted to women? Yeah, I'm not gay. We've established you don't have a girlfriend. Yeah. But I don't think I asked before, would you like a girlfriend? Yeah, who doesn't? If you had a girlfriend, what would you do with her? What does that mean? Well, would you take her out? If you did, where would you take her? The cinema. To see what kind of film? A horror. 15 certificate. Yeah, they're pretty slack, you can get in. And after the cinema, would you take her for a walk, take her straight home? No. Not straight home. Would you want to kiss her? Are you allowed to ask these questions? Well, you don't discuss this in PSAG. What do you think is the normal amount someone your age would do sexually with a girl or boy? I told you I'm not gay. I wasn't suggesting that you were. But you really want me to answer? Yes, if you can. I don't know. Touching, kissing. Well, what do you mean by touching? touching her bits. Her chest? Yeah. Her backside? Yeah. Her vulva? Her vagina? I don't know, maybe. Probably not. Maybe. Are you sure you're allowed to ask these questions? So, you think it's normal for a 13-year-old heterosexual boy to have engaged in touching of a girl's chest and her backside? Above or below clothes? Hello. Maybe.
Yeah, I'll just like come back onto here. I mean, yeah, because I mean, it's just like I said. Like, am I the only person that thinks this is like really weird and creepy? Like, even the boy himself is like, "Are you sure you're allowed to ask these type of questions?" I mean, if the boy is asking that, then surely that must be an indication that there's something not entirely right, right there. But right. Well, just continue on from there. I mean, because about. All right, we'll just continue on from there. So.
Above. Mostly. I've actually done all that. Kissing and touching. Okay. I've had 2 girls show me the tits, chest. It's okay, you don't have to use my language. And I touched them, so. Okay. And one of them touched my knob through my trousers. Okay. And I think she liked it. And you liked it? Of course. Not really. You didn't like it? I don't know. There's no right or wrong answer in this room, Jamie. You do know that. It's just your best attempt at the truth. Yeah. That didn't happen. You weren't touched on your trousers? No, I wasn't. And did 2 girls go topless with you? No, but I've seen photos though. You seen porn photos? No, not porn. Everyone sees porn. Just these 2 girls in my ear that I knew. No. You saw photos of 2 girls in your...
Right, one sec. No, I won't be watching it. She literally looks. I know it's weird. How awkward does she make him feel? I know it's really weird that, right? I mean, it's even to the point, as I just said, the boy himself is even asking, "Are you sure you're allowed to ask these type of questions?" And again, I understand. I know there's going to be people that will defend this by saying, "Oh, well, again, it's child psychology, 101. And this is like part of the procedure." But I want to see if I can actually move on with this clip here that I think perfectly sums up psychology in a nutshell. Wait, am I actually right? I want to see if I can get back to here again before I show the clip. God, this is like fucking hell, man. The brightness of the sun. One sec. Let me see if I can actually get this. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, here it is. Right. I got a clip here from one of my favorite shows of all time. I'm sure people have actually seen it, maybe even heard of it. It's from the show The Sopranos, and I believe this clip right here perfectly sums up everything. Well, it perfectly sums up the psychology industry, if you want to call it that. But let's have a look here with it. So what's it? Is this clip here?
But that's crazy. That's all nonsense. That's nothing but a racket for the Jews.
There we go. Yeah, so it's yeah, pretty weird stuff with that. So I couldn't exactly find the article itself, but I got that clip eventually. So yeah, I mean, I was quite awestruck when well, not awestruck, I was quite just shocked when I saw that scene because, like I said, this is a show that's been talked about, and many people from my workplace is even talking about it, like, oh, this is like it's so thought provoking and all this and that. And yet, there's a scene like that in the show, and I think the show itself is like a mini series with like what I think maybe 4 episodes, the length time or something like that. And yet, no one seems to be talking about that particular scene. No one's talking about it. I want to understand why, because it's really fucking weird. It's really weird, in fact. William Wallace 2 asks, what's your thoughts on the sudden surge in social media posts drawing attention nationwide of foreigners videoing our kids in play parks? Is this deliberately orchestrated by the state itself? I mean, maybe, because look, if there's seems to be like an epidemic of that type of stuff going on in the UK, and yet the police either don't know or even just outright refusing to do anything about it. So I think partially is probably to do with the government, or well, the state itself, or partially to part of it in this case, to try and, I think, well, in my theory, in which case, trying to drum up the idea of, white people not wanting to give, I was going to say give birth, but reproduce more children type of thing because of this type of stuff going on. I think it's partly to do with that, in my opinion. That's at least a theory of mine. So, God damn it, Martin. Like, really? Jeez. Star Wars has referred to it as a documentary twice now. Yeah, even though it's complete fantasy. Or at the very least, the reality is the polar opposite of what the show is trying to showcase, or at least trying to portray, essentially. So, well, I still will be watching it. I mean, I can understand why. So, I think what we'll do is we'll just move on from there, and we'll go on to the final part of the show, which of course being the Q&A section. I'll just see if I can get the banner up here for that just now, which is right there. In fact, before we get into that, there's something I almost forgot to mention. If you are based in Scotland, and if you want to get involved with politics, and more mainly activism in this case here, then get involved with activities, whether it be out in public or even just behind the scenes, then and of course you're based in Scotland for that, you can always contact me through that email address, as I'm the regional organizer for PA Scotland, and the email itself is scotland@patrioticalternative.org.uk. That's scotland@patrioticalternative.org.uk. That's only, again, if you're interested in getting involved, play your part essentially, then that's the best place to contact me on with it, and then we can discuss further, see what your interests are and what can you provide when it comes to activism and all of that, or even if you want to just become a member and then see from there. So, but that's the email to contact me on from there. Since we covered that, we'll then again move on to the questions and answer section. So at this part of the show, we'll do it for about maybe 15-20 minutes. If you have a question to ask me, please feel free to ask me in the chat. Just type in @ChiefMoody and then fire away with a question. It could be any question you'd like, and any question comes through in the chat, I will be happy to answer them. So, like I said, any question at all, I'll be happy to answer with that. So, anyways, at least that sun's gone. But I think I just realized as well, before we answer any questions, because of the weather getting a lot better, and I think because the sun is coming down, I think around about it's coming up to about 7 o'clock almost. I think it's probably maybe a good idea for me to start the show at 7, maybe, but I'll keep you guys up to date with that, and that's only because of the sun, essentially. Because as you were watching the show there, and even I've noticed as well, the sun was like right in my face, and I'm just like, God damn it, I can't exactly see anything. But anyways, don't moan about the sun in Scotland. I'm not exactly moaning about the sun. I'm just saying that maybe it'd be best to have the show start around about 7, because, like, as you can see, that's when the sun is going down. So, but anyways, but it's even saying that the weather has been fantastic, as I mentioned at the start of the show. So hopefully it will continue on like that. If I also want to see if I can, should get right, perfect. So, any questions that come through, anything at all? In fact, I think technically I've had the first question tonight with William Wallace. So, anyways, I like to go running at sunset. You know what? I actually do like walking in the certain areas round about during the time when the sun's setting down. It's actually pretty nice. Sometimes even the polar opposite, where that is if I'm off work, and if I'm still awake at that point, I would actually go out for a walk and just walk essentially to any areas, and then have the sun just like kind of like a sunrise type of thing, which is really, really nice to see. So, but it looks like we're actually getting to that point where it's going to become that type of weather anyway. So hopefully I'll be start doing that a lot more. So, but we'll see. We shall see. So, any questions to come through? Anything? This is the Q&A section after all. Do need to pull that. And again, I don't understand why he has to sit right behind me. There's literally a space right there next to me, but I'm referring to my dog, by the way, for those that don't know what I'm on about. So if you can hear snoring in the background, it's my dog Otis, who has literally been awkward and sitting right behind me. So yeah, as you can see, he's sleeping now, but he's just chilling out. Anyways, get the camera up here all bit. It's a bit dead air at the moment. I think it's going to be like a quiet evening with no questions coming through. I mean, it's fine. So if there's no questions coming through, then I might as well just kind of end the show early then, if you guys don't mind. So but I'll just give it another like 5-10 minutes and then see from there. I've already read the one out already. That's fine. Let me see. Martin W., what are your opinions on Rupert Lowe? Sorry, what are your opinions on Rupert Lowe raising money for the grooming gangs? I mean, it seems to be like a good idea, in my opinion. It seems to me that someone, what was it? Yeah, excuse me. It seems to me that at least he's someone that actually wants to have an investigation over the whole grooming gang scandal. And it's funny because there seems to be some people in the nationalist cause who, who seems to think that what he's doing is reprehensible, which I don't understand why that would be reprehensible, but because it seems like someone like him is actually wanting to have an investigation over this. So, anyways, yeah, in short, seems like a good idea. So hopefully he raises the money and actually has an inquiry about that. Right, Chaz. I mean this in the most sincere way when it comes to it, right. Actually, I'll answer this question first, right? Trump Towers, your views. I mean, it's not really that much of a surprise, really. I don't think Trump has done a lot of tariffs with the UK, if I'm not mistaken. It's something, to be honest, I haven't really been paying attention to when it comes to that, but I think it's just really, in my opinion, it's just kind of doing the same thing what he did, during his first presidential run, or first presidency, I should say. But yeah, sorry. Going back to the previous one, shot at everything thrown at him, but Trump got elected. I mean, look, Trump. Again, I've talked about this before on the show, but Trump is a puppet, just like any other politician out there when it comes to that. Trump is not exactly someone to be trusted. He is doing a lot of good things at the currently speaking, which I'm quite surprised of, but he is also somebody who's part of an administration who wants to clamp down on anti-Semitism. Which, I mean, again, being that is really America, I mean, America being a country all about free speech and all of that. Oh, you got free speech. Oh, but just don't talk about these particular groups of people or this group of people. So, really, it definitely tell you something when it comes to that. So, Toffee, have you heard of Billy Moore, Chief, a YouTuber from Liverpool? I have not. Let's see. He's like Charlie Veach, Billy Moore. Let me just have a quick look and see. So, YouTube, Billy Moore. But no, I haven't heard of them before, so one sec. Let me see here, Billy Moore. So is it part of a channel called the All or Nothing with Billy Moore, Toffee? Because I think I found a channel here, but I'm not entirely too sure whether or not if it's actually part of that what we're talking about. But if I think about it, I think I might have actually seen clips of this. But again, I might be entirely wrong on that. But anyways, I'll definitely have a look at it later if it's the right chat. Yeah, that's the one, mate. Right. I'll have a look at that later on, Toffee, and see from there. But thank you for the suggestion. I really appreciate that. Let me see. He goes around the country documenting society, and it's quite refreshing the amount of British people who are sick of foreign behavior. Yeah, excellent. So I'll definitely have a look into that later on. So let me see where I was like. Oh, here we go. So Chad Smash, do you plan to live off the grid in the woods? I mean, I guess I don't know if that's maybe part of the whole Woodlander initiative. I mean, at this point, I don't really entirely know. Personally, I hope it doesn't get to that point. I can understand why people would want to live off grid, but me personally, I hope it doesn't come to that point. But if it gets to the point where if you want to live off grid, I mean, it's understandable, but I don't think we really have to live off grid to live the way we to live in this type of society. But because it's becoming a lot more of an anti-white society, it's really bound to happen when it comes to that. So, so I would say with I hope it doesn't happen. But if it gets to the point where it gets really, really, really bad, then I think living off grid might be the best option for people at least at that moment until we figure out another strategy on how to fix everything. And like I said, I think the best way moving forward would be white advocacy, because if we don't do anything when it comes to white advocacy, then everything at the moment is just going to be even worse, in my opinion, when it comes to that. Martin W. Charlie Vitch is a Scottish YouTuber, goes around places like Manchester. I think I've heard of that Charlie Vitch. Actually, let me just see if I can type that in. Because again, he's someone I think I might have actually seen clips of. He seems to, I don't know if I might be the right one, but he seems to be a bit of a provocateur. But let me just have a quick, yeah, that Charlie, or Charles Vitch, whatever his name is. Yeah, he's. I'm not really too much of a fan of him, to be quite honest. He just comes off as someone of unnecessary provocateur. Like, he's someone who will just go to an area and tries to start shit, and when people confront him over it, then he acts like the victim type of thing. But at least based off of from what I've seen from previous videos, I might be entirely wrong in that. But anyways, Charlie is a dick. He picks on junkies. We'll see. There you go. Then that's someone that I wouldn't really support when it comes to that. Is nationalist off-grid just running away from issues? No, it's not exactly running away from issues. It's coming to the point where there's more and more of these migrants are coming in, and there's a lot more white people, who are who are against their race and are for the minorities. There's just going to come a point where it's just going to get a lot worse. So I wouldn't say it's running away from issues. I mean, by that logic, would you say people like Woodlander is running away from issues? I don't think he is. He's someone I believe is someone who, again, based off of, because I don't really know him too well or with that. I've only spoken to him at times here and there, but from what I've seen he seemed to be someone who probably has experienced a lot and just couldn't really take it anymore and wants to, live off grid because he doesn't want to live in that type of society. And look, I don't necessarily live in major towns or cities, but I've been in places like that, whether it be Glasgow or Edinburgh. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't want to live in that type of society. I wouldn't want to live in that where there's crimes rampant and there's a lot of multiculturalism and all of that. And all this and that. Is white flight running? No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with the idea of running away because there's too much migrants. I see it as white people leaving an area because there's too much migrants in that particular area, which, by the way, the white people that were from those areas didn't even ask any of that to happen. So you can't exactly blame them for wanting to leave an area because it's too much of a non-white area at that point, especially in those areas where there's more rampant crime, there's more stabbings, there's more killings, there's more rapes and molestation going on there. Hence, with the stuff like the grooming gangs and all that. I mean, can you really blame people who want to actually leave those types of areas and try to see if they can form more white areas? I mean, by that point. And I want you to be honest with me, Chasmash. Do you think stuff like, say, what's the name of that place in South America? Is it Orania or Orancia? How you want to pronounce it? Basically, that all white area in South Africa. Do you think that seems to be a bit like a bad idea? Because that to me, I think, is actually definitely part the way forward for white people, in my opinion, at least. Because again, they're all coming to Orania. That's it. Thank you, Toffee. They're all coming together because they're sick of the multiculturalism and all this being forced down their throats. They're all getting together as one big community, one big collective, which I thought would be something that all nationalists, at least white nationalists, would be something that we all agreed upon. Actually getting together, forming communities and all of that, actually working together, trying to build essentially new societies, but specifically for our people. I mean, that seems to be, I think, like a good idea. I don't see why that seems to be at this point in time like damn. I don't really understand why that seems to be the vector of issue here, or that the point of issue when it comes to that. I really should say, but I don't know. So. Yeah, but I don't agree with the idea of it. It's just like running away. I don't agree with that entirely, not at all. So, yeah, exactly. A high trust society, and that's actually something I almost forgot. The more migrants come into an area, there's decrease in trust in society. You know, I mean, again, you can't blame white people for wanting to leave a certain area because it's no longer an overwhelmingly white area. You know, because again, partly to do with that. So, and even Toffee in the chat reads that there's areas of Liverpool now where you simply wouldn't be safe to live there because of immigrants. Right, exactly. Chad Smash is a great idea, but South Africa is large and land is cheap. Nowhere in UK is like that. Yeah, I understand that. I understand that it's a different situation, especially when it comes to stuff like that. But you know, I mean, well, what I can only say to that is what's going on in South Africa with Orania. It seems to be, it was like, well, I mean, if things continue the way they are, that's probably the best thing moving forward, in our opinion, with that. But, anyways. So, time is up. We're just about an hour through to the show. Folks, if you guys don't mind, I appreciate the questions coming through. Oh, 1 second with Toffee. There's a similar place in Sweden. Mark Collett interviewed the guy not long ago. That's right. I can't remember the name of the place itself, but yeah, there is a place in Sweden that also has similar to Orania as well. So, in fact, what interview was that? I might actually want to have a look, give that another watch and see from there. But anyways, folks, if you guys wouldn't mind, that's been an hour into the show. I really want to end it there. So if you guys don't mind, I am just going to head off. I might be back next week for episode 230, but I'll keep you guys posted with that. So, but I hope if everyone has enjoyed the show, and again, follow me on other platforms like X or Telegram, and that's where I mostly keep up to date with all the updates for Mood of the Nation. I even post some other random stuff here and there, as like politics related and whatnot, sharing other people's streams and all of that. So have a good week, Chief Vlad. God bless him. Yourself, Toffee, thank you very much for watching the show. Excuse me. Also to everyone else on the chat as well. Thank you very much for watching the show itself. I'm just going to get this banner up here, which of course being support Patriotic Alternative. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to see if I can, in fact, remove that. I don't really need that anymore. Stop screen. And then see if I can get this up here. It's going to be the video file that I normally use for the outro of the song. I'm just going to get that up here just now and see. Can get that. Perfect. All right, cool. So again, that's going to be it for tonight's episode. Great show. Thanks very much, Chaz. You take care. Thank you very much for watching. Again, like I said, follow me on other platforms like X and Telegram. Follow me on Gab if you're on Gab. I think my username on Gab is Chief Moody YT still, maybe, but I think I might post that Gab link in my Telegram so that if you haven't followed me on Gab, follow me in there if you can. And I'll see if I can try and update that more often. So, but with that, that's going to be the end of episode 229 of Mood of the Nation. And thank you very much for watching. Like I said, I hope I'll be back next week, but I'll keep you guys up to date with that. So, and let you guys know from there. And yeah, that's going to be it. So thank you very much for watching. This is Chief Moody signing out. You have been watching the Mood of the Nation podcast, and I will see you all in the next episode. Take care, stay safe, enjoy the rest of your evening, enjoy the rest of the week when it comes. And yeah, hope to see you all in the next one. Thank you all and good night. Take care.